If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.
Hi, this is Melanie Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Oh my gosh, I am super excited. We are going to take you on a journey of the future, how the new era is going to unfold, crypto, NFTs, how it's going to affect your business, influencing your brand, how it affects authors and publishing. Put your seatbelts on. I have Mike Koenigs in the house, our mentor. Welcome. Thanks, Mike.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you so much, Melanie.
So he is a best-selling author. He's super accomplished, worked for Tony Robbins. All right, just give us a little bit of your backstories, and then we're going to dive deep into our topic.
Sure. Small town kid. I started writing code when I was 14 years old, back when it was really hard. And my dream in life was to write video games. And so I ended up working for a couple tech companies. I wrote code for the US Navy and at the time, Sperry Unisys. Then I became a game developer, started one of the first digital marketing agencies in the world called Digital Cafe, sold that to a publicly traded company, started 2 software companies, Traffic Geyser, Instant Customers, sold those to a SPAC, or what is basically a variant of a public company. And then did a company that helped people build their brands and create celebrity status. Sold that 3.5 years ago. Now I just work with founders. So I either help them build companies quickly. We create businesses in as little as 3 days, or help people build their brands so they become big multipliers. But I've been dabbling in crypto and blockchain, and I have some projects and some software projects working on the side right now, but that's probably the best way. I'm sort of a weird mix of marketing meets tech meets future stuff.
Yeah, that's why I love having you on here, because you bring such a unique array of skills right to this moment. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about, last year you do a thing on the future every year, and you're like, hey, if you're not having Bitcoin in your business, then you better just walk off the planet right now. So I signed up right away. I had other people telling me to invest and use it. You're like, accept crypto. Talk us, what should a business owner be doing with this crypto market?
Okay. I think the first thing and the most important, by the way, it's so nice to be here with you today. And I love your brain. And I just love what you're thinking about. You're on the cutting edge of doing such great things. And I love how you're directing people right now, Melanie. So I just, first of all, just want to, from my heart, acknowledge you for that.
Okay.
And also thanks for being here. And then I'll answer your question. Okay. So I think right now, we are in the beginning phases of all this, but business owners need to pay attention to it. I'm going to give you a couple mini stories as to why. So here, right now, there are very creative ways to solve 2 massive problems in the world. The first one is value exchange. The second one is trust. And that's what the blockchain promises. And so, the idea, like, mini story number 1, imagine you're an architect. So you're in the business of providing a service, but also you're doing the equivalent of art and intellectual property. Let's pretend you're a high-end architect and your fees to design an incredible home might be $250,000. And what if a developer came to you and said, well, I'll either pay you the $250,000, that's fine, that would be cash, or we'd like to do something unique with you. We're going to package your architectural design as an NFT, and we'll give you $100,000 now, but then every home and we're going to build a whole bunch of homes using this design plan. And every time that home gets sold, we're going to give you 0.5% of the purchase price. And these are $10 million homes. So here's an opportunity to make millions of dollars, but not only do you get paid every time that house gets sold, because we're actually selling the home as an NFT. Mm-hmm. We're going to build in a smart contract so that you get paid every time. But then if you want, you can select, you could divide the smart contract. So maybe your trust gets half the money, or a nonprofit of your choice does. And this way, we don't ever have to deal with escrow or notary or because we're going to make it easier to receive money. And in fact, you could choose to receive part of your payment in a new token. It's a new architectural development token that we're going to open up, and we'll give you double tokens instead of cash if you'd like. So the whole idea is there's a whole bunch of different ways of creating value in an exchange. And because everything happens automatically through smart contracts, we don't need to worry about escrow and trust any longer. So I think the opportunity here is the way we move money, the way we move value around is rapidly changing. Mm-hmm. And the thing I just described, it's complicated, but most people get it right away. And the reason it's important for business owners is because everything you do, everything you do in your ordinary life, in your entertainment and life, your business life, can be re-examined and rethought through with all of these new technology platforms. And even if you're not buying crypto or NFTs or these things, to just be aware of the changes is very valuable and important. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think the knowledge alone, if you're not studying it, they were saying people, and I hate to say like our age, actually more my age, I'm a little bit older than you. It's like, especially in women, only 4% of women even know what an NFT is or how it works. The demographic is dominantly male, younger males that understand it. So if you're a business owner, you really need to educate yourself of what's happening and what's going on. You know, there's the two parts. Do you accept cryptocurrency in your business? How do you create your intellectual property and create the smart product? And every business is different. Since this is the future of publishing, let's start with that. How do you suggest an author what they should put in their smart contract? Should they sell the book as an NFT? Should the book be separate? Should it just be a graphic and be a card of different characters or parts of the business? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think yes to everything. And it also comes down to what do you want to do? So I'm going to, just for now, I'm going to play Let's Pretend and use myself as an example here. So right now, I don't have a wide and shallow market, meaning to me, a client, my starting fees are $75,000 and then they go up to $500,000. And I participate on a growth basis, on an equity basis with the businesses I work with. So writing a book for that topic may or may not help me, other than I'm doing it anyway, right? My next book will provide that. But one of the things that I want to do is, for the right fit person, give them an opportunity to get involved in a community. And for example, I do experiences where I travel with my clients and also would-be clients, and we go to exotic places like Mexico, Guadalupe Valley, and we do mastermind tours and trips, okay? And what I've contemplated doing is packaging that as an NFT, meaning you invest, you get a bunch of books, et cetera, et cetera. But but for me, it's a little awkward. It'd be like, how can I make this work? It's non-obvious. So I think trying to force it isn't a smart idea. But let's say you were doing something mainstream, and I'm going to just give you an example here. This is, my wife just met this guy, Paul Hawken, who's all about regenerative farming. And she met him in Mexico, actually. She was just down there. And this is an accomplished author, and he's all about earth regeneration. And if you have the possibility or potential to create a movement, so not only change the way people think, but change the way that they live, and get people excited to participate in, reclaiming and recreating soil on Earth, for example, which is actually the real problem. Planting trees doesn't necessarily pull the carbon. It's having great soil does. And the difference between dirt and soil, it's one's alive. So how would you encapsulate and creatively create a way to not only think, but to participate in something that matters, and potentially create a currency of exchange and a mechanism for rewarding people to live and think and behave a certain way? So again, I went from one extreme to another extreme here, but I think in between, even if you're just packaging art, maybe you get a ticket to a live event. Maybe you get access to a Discord server, which is what's used right now. Again, anytime you can create community, that's at least stage one. Anytime you can create behavioral change, that's another one. Anytime you can reward behavioral change, I think that's where the power of this really lies, at least from a thinking perspective.
I love that, because you're not just thinking about how can I create things out of the content I already have, projects, whether you have digital assets or things like that. I'm going to offer a course with it. I'm going to offer PDFs with it. I'm going to offer a backstage pass with it. But what's the broader scope? I think you've opened my eyes of how do I change the world with it? How can I take my products or services, but make it a broader scope to change the world with what I'm doing? And right now it's kind of open sea, which is, the thing of you could do anything and it's just, you don't know. And one person had mentioned, well, when you launch a project, if it's not successful or it is successful, it's there for the world to see forever. What are your thoughts on that?
So here's what I got a few thoughts. The first is anyone who's bought an NFT has found out that it sucks. Okay. So for example, you buy, let's say you buy your Ethereum on Coinbase or something like that. Then you have to transfer it to MetaMask, an alternate wallet. Then you got to connect it with OpenSea. Then you got to click around and it's like, where the hell's my stuff? Okay. Is the problem. Nothing about it is easy. The user experience is horrible. And there isn't a place to keep your things. And like, if you forget your password, I don't remember the name of these sites. And you have to have a password manager and then a wallet. And then you have to worry about, like, if you're using a public Wi-Fi access, someone's sniffing your stuff. Like, I know a guy who had his entire MetaMask wallet. All of his stuff got stolen. And he's like, I'm not sure how they broke in, but somehow they're sniffing around on my laptop. So security of assets there is no one to go to. Okay. So again, I'm going to pick on the system for a moment, but here's what it reminds me of. I started writing code in the 80s. All right. Then in the 90s, I had some businesses, and then we had Digital Cafe. And we had evolved from having crap tools to really good tools. And I'm talking about writing code in C and Pascal. And then trying to do multimedia stuff was really difficult because there was no storage. So we evolved from removable hard drive technology, from floppies to removable hard drives, and then finally CD-ROMs when we had 650 megabytes of data we could store. And my company used to make video games, movie promotions. And we even did interactive movies on CDs. Mm-hmm. And what we could do is you could watch full quality video and click and then do something, and click and then do something. It was interactive. And we had a tool that became something called Macromedia Director, which was the first decent tool for managing videos and clicking and doing hyperlinks and all that. And then the web came along and it was slow. You had a modem, you had to go through America, and there was no internet for a little while. It was America Online, it was CompuServe, it was Prodigy, it was Apple Link. None of them talked to each other. So think of it, completely different platform, nothing shares. And then like to watch a video that was 120 pixels by 160 pixels would take like 15 minutes to download. And I had Sony and BMW and 20th Century Fox saying, hey, make interactive movie trailers for us. And I'm like, this sucks. This is like going back 10 years. I just fought for 6 years to go from good code to finally being able to have good storage. And now you want me to go backwards. It literally was 10 years. And writing in HTML then was garbage. To this day, most development tools have just started getting good. Like they're finally catching up. So the point is, right now, we just took, in some ways, a step backwards. We had e-commerce. We've got Amazon. Like, we can talk. We use credit cards. We've got Venmo. We've got PayPal. We've got Apple Pay, which is miraculously awesome, right? It is ubiquitous. It's like click, click, boom, facial recognition, I pay. And now we go to this complete cluster of garbage, and it's impossible to buy and consume and exchange easily. And I heard it compared to the other day, like you have an Oracle, which is a sophisticated database technology, and suddenly we're going back to what's known as a flat file database. The blockchain is a crap way of storing stuff. It's horribly inefficient, power inefficient. And yes, it might solve a problem, but it's like right now there's a lot of people putting frosting on a turd. and trying to think about, presenting this as being, oh my God, this is awesome. The infrastructure is like dirt and rocks. It's junk.
So all right, so a couple questions out of that.
Yeah.
Does that mean we sit and wait? So do we do an NFT for our business now? I mean, Adidas just launched one that sold out in minutes and I think they had 30,000 NFTs, made a bunch of money. Or do we wait and just see what happens till this kind of clunky way gets done? What do you think?
All right. So the short answer is participate to whatever your risk tolerance is. What we're going to experience, guaranteed. This is a typical hype cycle. This is the internet in 1997, right before the crash. So like there was recently a great South Park episode, both about the C word and the P word, and also NFTs showed up in there. And it's basically these people who are losing their life savings all at once. And what you have is a absolute hype cycle and Ponzi schemes en masse. All right. A bunch of people creating junk. Let's face it, there's nothing special inherently about a picture that you own. All right. It's dumb. Okay. It's hype cycle, but there is a story that enough people are buying into about art or these apes or whatever. And if there is association value, in other words, community value, where having one of these enables you to have a ticket where you get front row seats at a concert that you can't get unless you have one, it's worth it, right? Or if you want to reward a creator, I think it's awesome. And right now, there's enough dumb people buying into a story that you're creating a hype cycle, but the rug's going to be pulled under a lot of people all at once. Overall, cryptocurrency, if you think about it, most of these tokens are Ponzi schemes. It's pump and dump where someone is printing counterfeit money that has no value behind it. They own the bank. They're spying on the data streams. And then the owners and founders don't have any oversight by any government organization. They can pump up the value, create bots to create a bunch of communication. So people like rah, 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 and then steal all the money overnight and walk away. Okay. It's a Ponzi scheme. All right. Just be clear that what will happen is a whole bunch of people are going to lose a whole bunch of money because they enter this and they don't understand what's going on. And most of the stuff has zero value and it's backed by nothing. All right. And someone can say, well, the Federal Reserve and cash and blah, 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 blah. Here's what's important. Enough people believe in it and there's oversight and there is a certain degree of control and scarcity, right? Because there's belief in that. Right now, there's like I heard or read that about 180 million people are doing crypto right now. I think that's what it was compared to 8 billion people on the planet. I believe those are the numbers. It's relatively small. And inside there, remember that there are exchanges right now where you can make up a token, you can put it on an exchange, convert it into, let's say, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then you can convert that into cash. Banks could one day say, anyone who has any attachment to any exchange whatsoever, you're banned and blocked. We are not going to exchange anything. All right. And we could do a FINCA or FINRA internationally, and like it would destroy the crypto economy. This could be destroyed quickly. I just want you to be clear that right now we are in the hype cycle, but people thought e-commerce was a joke. And we fought for a while to just use credit cards online. And eventually it worked itself out. So even though I gave an advertisement that sounds like gloom and doom, I'm telling you, I believe cryptocurrency is going to replace fiat. I think it will rapidly improve trust, commerce, and create unlimited value and allow people to exchange value using different ideas. And the concept of power and politics and government will change because of this. And I have a lot of confidence in humanity as a whole I don't trust institutions, and I don't trust over powerful, like Facebook. I've said it forever. I've never trusted Facebook. I've always said, use it, but get your people off of it. If you're dependent on them and your communities are there and you actually think likes matter, you're an idiot. Okay. It's don't trust Facebook, don't trust Google, don't trust YouTube. If you can use them to build momentum and build an audience, great, but get it off of those things because they're going to screw you eventually. And you've just got to be aware of what's going on. So I probably over answered your question, but I have another philosophy, which is a new way of thinking. I think about power and energy as well. So when we get there, again, I know we got to get back to publishing and growing an audience.
No, I loved all of that. And, I want to kind of deconstruct some of that as well. Like you were talking about the discords. And what I'm finding is when people are buying an NFT, let's say, it's $200-$300, whatever the gas fee is, which could be exorbitant sometimes. But what I'm seeing in some of the discords is they're teaching. So it's almost like, you invest in courses and things like that. I'm seeing them deconstruct of how to buy an NFT, what you need to do, how to set up the wallet, do all that. So they're getting an education because most people don't know how to do that. And I love what you said, these tokens are popping up everywhere. I just think it's crap, these different tokens, because it's just like, it's just a pump and dump usually. And really Ethereum seems to be, or Bitcoin seems to be the tried and true, at least tested amount for any extreme for at this point of where we're at. And then what I'm seeing, you're saying, I've had the experience too, where people's MetaMask wallets have just disappeared, and $10 million. I knew a guy that lost $10 million that went away. But then there's also the tax implication. So the government hasn't been able to keep up with the taxes. These kids are buying, selling NFTs, doing all this kind of stuff, and money's going into these unmarked wallets that people are making millions of dollars. And most of them are saying, well, the government doesn't know I have this money. It's in some unmarked wallet. Do I have to pay tax on it? Do I not have to pay tax on it? There's a whole issue with that with the government. And then what do you do when you take it as a business owner? I see that you accept cryptocurrency on your website. Do you show that it's taxable? Do you not show that it's taxable? Is it being profitable for you that you're accepting cryptocurrency on your website? Should other businesses follow suit and do that? Okay, I asked you about 10 questions in that whole thing. Pick and choose whatever you want to do.
Okay, so I'm going to answer the last question first, which is I want to be paid in crypto whenever possible. I absolutely accept it. And yes, it's been profitable. Here's a little story. And it's like the best example possible, which was got a new client. He's located in Singapore, I think, or Malaysia, one or the other. I'm trying to think right now. And he's from Malaysia, lives in Singapore, I think. Whatever the case was, he had to get me, and I don't take credit cards. Okay. Only do wire transfer or crypto. Why? Because I don't think on a big transaction, $35,000, $75,000, $100,000, why should I pay these jerks a couple points? They're rotten. Okay. They aren't adding any value. I just want my cash, and I'd rather do wire to wire. But if you're out of the United States, wiring $35,000, $75,000 is hard. His bank wouldn't let him do it. So he's like, well, will you take Bitcoin? I'm like, yeah, why not? Right. At the time, I didn't need the cash, and I figured I'd take a risk. Now, at the time, I was like, well, what happens if it goes down by 4/5 in value? I'm upside down. However, he sent it over, and at that time, Bitcoin was worth $10,000. Well, about 5 months later, it was over 40. Now, I didn't get out at the peak, but at 40, I got rid of about half of it. All right. So I basically, had tens of thousands of dollars suddenly worth about six figures. That was really, really smart. Okay. Yeah. Now, I had to pay taxes on that. That part sucks. But however is, at least as of right now, Bitcoin is an asset. Okay. So I don't pay taxes on it. I mean, here's the thing is you pay income, and you have to talk to your financial advisor. I don't play one on TV, the internet, or anywhere. But what do you pay taxes on? The appreciation, but is that after you sell, or do you pay taxes on the value of the exchange upon payment? Okay. That is a conversation with your accountant. I'm not going to answer that here. But what I will tell you is anytime you have an appreciating asset, or in my case, I'm willing to take the risk I would rather get paid in crypto right now and use that as a store of value. And in the instance, again, just full disclosure is I'm in the process of we just bought property in Mexico. I will soon be a Mexican citizen. I'm also going to become an EU citizen before long. Why? I want sovereignty. And I believe that crypto offers a powerful, convenient way to provide sovereignty and an access. And again, they're in the near future, just like right now, like if you're buying an NFT, you have to use crypto to do it. Well, think about it. Yes, I can buy crypto with cash, but it's a new form of payment. It's a new form of value realization and exchange, a new form of trust. There's speed to it. Now, again, the infrastructure, these gas fees are stupid. It's worse than credit card companies. All right. It's dumb. And the reason is because the platform that it's sitting on, like I said, is like rocks and dirt. It's like going back in time 20 years because no one's built the Oracle for processing. Some people are doing that. That's what Polkadot, for example, is. It's a faster, cheaper form of Ethereum. And Bitcoin and Ethereum gas prices are crazy because of the way they do things. And those things will improve. So anyway, with regards to taxes, with regards to living in the real world versus the virtual world, I think these will solve themselves. But at the present time, things are moving too fast for the regulators to get involved. And the best and smartest thing that we will see happen are the real companies, not the pump and dumpers, not the fakers, which there are more of those than bad. There's more bad people. It's just like in the early days of going public, like everyone was going public and they had garbage and they were like, hey, we're doing a startup, Silicon Valley, yay. And they'd raise $15,000 and guess, someone got a private jet. There you go. You got nothing. And that's what's going to happen here. So what I think will happen is the real ones are going to self-regulate. They're going to create the rules for themselves and say, here are our code of ethics, and go to the government. And the government will be like, wow, you thought this through. And that's already happening. Not long ago, a bunch of very smart crypto folks got in front of Congress and had some good conversations. And the person, I can't remember her name, who is sort of like the in-between, is really smart, really understands government, really understands crypto, and has the trust of the crypto community, or at least the people who matter. That's going to be the win. And the scumbags are going to do what scumbags do. And the best thing we can do is create a form of currency that represents your reputation, and people who steal will be banned from normal life worldwide. Okay. I think having an identity token is beneficial. Now, I also think an anonymous token is beneficial, but I don't think it should be for money or for journalism, for example, or trust. So you know what? If you're going to do business with me, the scumbaggery that goes on right now is, well, just start a Cayman Island trust and blah, 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 blah. To think that crypto is bad and our world we live in is good, it's just a matter of pay the right attorneys, pay the right scumbag CAs and shell corporations, and you're not paying taxes anyway. So, when the high and mighty throw rocks, they gotta be really careful because they're all living in glass houses. Wall Street, by and large, it serves a lot of people. It's a scummy sham and a Ponzi scheme. Not all of it, but a lot of it. Okay. Banking is too. It's a great way for fat cats to steal money. So is a government. It's exploitation. It's theft. Not all of it.
Yeah, it's been around for hundreds of years that way. So you just got to stay true to your own values. All right, let's shift a little bit into this new era, Web3, how we can use it for our brand, our business, and for publishing. So let's start with publishing. How should we be positioning ourselves coming up in this next year or so?
All right. And what I want from you, Melanie, is can you define Web3 means a lot of things. So let's define it. Can you give us a definition and give me some boundaries or walls to try to fit inside some lines here. Because Web3 means a lot to me, and I want to make sure we're on the same page. So let's create the clarity first and then frame this, and then I'll operate inside your box.
Okay. So Web3, I know for you is very, very broad. I want to make the box a lot smaller for our audience of, the technology coming out. Really, it's the NFT kind of box is what we're going to stay in. But then there's also new tools that are coming out and ways that we should communicate with our audience, ways to create a community, how important community is. What should I be doing as a business owner to create that brand? I mean, it used to be before, write a book, right? Get your credibility, do social media, do these separate things. You always used to map that out for us. You've been a mentor of ours for years, and you gave us that blueprint. Follow this blueprint that I created for you, and it's worked. But now we know the era is changing. How should we change our blueprint?
Okay. So I'm going to, again, give you a couple opinions, and then I'm going to answer your question. It'll be easier that way. Like, I got VR goggles really early. Some people say, well, that's part of Web3, and it could be. It'll be like community building. But at the end of the day, using them, I don't have fun. It's just like, it's too much work, and the batteries don't last long enough. It's kind of uncomfortable. I don't like, but I get it. Like, I think augmented reality glasses soon, where we put them on and we'll be able to see inside an alternate world, is really, really powerful. So I'm going to paint you a picture of ways of like using this now, and then future ways I see using the technology. And again, by definition, Web3 is pretty much like stick your stuff on the blockchain, which is kind of like, well, what's that mean? I mean, it's like stick your stuff on the web. There was a time when, again, from an evolutionary point of view, we had to think differently about commerce and reading content. And I'm going to tell you kind of a weird story, and then I'm going to really answer it. So in about 1994 or 1995, I had, again, this is Digital Cafe. So we're doing really, really, really early websites, and we're still doing CD-ROMs and content. And I get this call because someone had heard that we were doing business with a distribution company that represented Todd Rundgren, David Bowie, Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, et cetera. They're kind of like a B grade at the time. These guys were struggling a little bit, and they're like a B tier publisher. Yeah. But we were developing products for people like John Tesh, and we were doing games and stuff like that. So I get this weird call, and this guy wants to meet with me. And I figured, good enough. He said the right thing. So I met him for dinner and drinks. And he said, I really want you to build out an e-commerce system for us to sell images and movies and accept credit cards. And I was standing, and it's going to be all online. And I was like, that's stupid. Let's just put everything on CD-ROMs. And he goes, no, you don't understand. And finally, he let me know he was in the adult entertainment industry. Basically, he wanted us to build porn websites. And this is, again, like taking credit cards was incredibly complex. And to make it happen, there was a company, it turned out I actually knew the founder, and they got their start basically doing credit card clearing for porn. But they got like 20%. Okay. There's a whole bunch of reasons for this. Well, make a long story short, I gave him a hard no, because it was like, I'm not going to be associated with that industry. And at the time, I remember thinking that he's an idiot. Be like, why would you use this when we have better ways of distributing content, and no one's going to sit around and wait for all the pictures to download the movies? And boy, was I wrong. Okay. Probably be a billionaire if I would have said yes. But I think we live in a similar time right now where you might hear things and go, that doesn't make any sense, or you can't bridge the gap between what's possible, what's coming, and what's actually going to work. Yeah. So I would first say, you got to remember at the end of the day, what you need and want are customers. That's all that matters in the world of business. And you have to create reputation and maintain that. That is the only thing that you have of value at the end of the day. And I think you have to think through the lens of creating social proof transformations impact, and a movement. Think about it like that. That's the end result of what you do. It's like, why do you do what you do? It's so you can make a difference, give purpose, and all the other things that I just talked about. Okay. So again, if you had 3 blocks to draw within, you got to have customers, right? Buyers. You've got to manage and maintain your most valuable asset. That's reputation. I don't care if it's your reputation or your brand or your company. It's still all reputation. Okay. Why should someone know you? Why do you matter? And then the third is, what's the outcome, result, benefit to the buyer, the customer? So having said all that, anytime a technology enables you to do that better and faster, or stand out and grab the 2 hardest things to get. Number 1 is attention. Number 2 is trust. So right now, I think NFTs, Web3 are mostly shiny objects. Okay. And it's going to attract a certain kind of buyer, someone who's willing to invest in shiny objects. And to them, one of their primary values is being different, standing out. Apple Computer built, at any given time, they either are the most valuable company in the world or almost the most valuable company in the world, depending on who's first. But on the basis of a hook. Do you remember what the big hook was that Steve Jobs created for Apple?
No.
Think different. It's think different. Okay, it's be different. And their 1984 commercial when the Mac came out was this red runner coming at a screen where all these mesmerized IBM acolytes were staring at in like a 1984 dream world. And she breaks the glass with a sledgehammer. She throws it and it shatters the screen. It's a great commercial that Jobs came up with. And then, everything Apple did really appealed to think different, be different, stand out. They were selling love me because I'm special. Okay. It's what it appeals to a very core part of us. At the end of the day, every product, every service is selling one of 3 things. It's get paid, meaning money at a discount, get laid, meaning make me different, status, authority, make me pretty, make me likable, or live forever. You're selling quality of life, life extension, or lifestyle. It's a mixture. So anytime you can mix all 3, that's the trifecta. Get paid, get laid, live forever. That's the easy way to remember it. Your product inside of here needs to message to an audience, get their attention, earn their trust, and deliver on one of those 3 things or all of them. And so the fastest way to answer your question, if we were going to boil this down into like one little nugget, I'd say, first of all, writing a book, always important. And the book becomes the script to all of the content that you're going to put out into the world, whether that gets distributed as an audiobook, podcasts, videos on YouTube, articles, radio interviews, television, web shows, whatever that is, right? We don't care. You should be media agnostic. But I think books are still the best fundamental building block of getting attention, earning trust, standing out, being different. And then there should be ideally a reward for buying the book or a bunch of them. And that would come in the way of either rewarding movements, being part of something, or affecting behavior. And if there is a way, so if an NFT is simply a golden ticket to a special event, have at it, okay? If there's a way to reward behavior, kind of like airline miles, that's a good idea. Now, those miles, that token can be a currency that someday could be exchanged if you have enough people using it. Okay. I would love the idea of minting my own coin, my own currency. Right now, it makes my brain hurt a little bit. So it's not obvious. And I think when you start to just push it, sometimes you just shouldn't shove something out the out hole, or shouldn't shove something inside the out hole. God, how'd you like that? Turned it all back around here. But that's really what it is. It's like, it just doesn't make sense. So it's got to make sense. And I also think, like, if you start spending all your time thinking way out here and you don't have one customer and you don't have something that works, it's like, you got to start with what works first. Like this can be a massive distraction or a massive benefit. And just make sure it isn't a massive distraction.
I love that. So it's kind of like you've got the distraction out there, the new shiny objects, and then you've got all the tried and true stuff that's working. How do we combine those? If you had to give someone advice, here's the 3 things you should be doing in the next year. You already have, let's say you've got the reputation, you're getting the trust. How do you get customers? What's the best way to enroll those customers?
Well, I'm going to answer the question by telling you a story of something that really, really worked with someone I worked with. And I'll hold up the demo. I can do a couple of them. And they're all kind of similar. So these are 3 books. These 2 were done by Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. Oops, not this one and this one. There we go. So one's called The Gap and the Gain, one's Who Not How. And they're really good books. And so Dan Sullivan came up with the ideas, and that was written by a guy named Ben Hardy. And for Dan, he cares about one thing: getting people to join Strategic Coach. And for Ben, he loves writing book, and the association with Dan as a brand is really powerful and positive. I'm going to show you one other example here because they all have a similar story. This is a guy named Justin Donnelly, who's a client of mine, and we created the brand, The Lifestyle Investor. He has a unique way of creating so the subtitle is The 10 Commandments of Cash Flow Investing for Passive Income and Financial Freedom. Basically teaches a really brilliant strategy for how to do investing with very low risk that generates passive income. And when I met him, he had gone from less than $1 million to over 10 million in about 20 months. And then his next deca million in about 4 years. And he did it without losing money. It was really brilliant investing advice, but no one knew who he was. He literally didn't exist online. And we helped build his brand. And in all the cases, there's a back end offer. So for Justin, we'll call it the top of the pyramid, it's a $250,000 personal coaching program. And then there's a $50,000 mastermind where he brings in opportunities and deals that the collective group, everyone in the mastermind, can invest in. So he represents an opportunity for people with something to invest in, a way to collect and get a lot of money quickly without him selling a security. He's just basically saying, hey, here's someone who's got something. I vetted it. I personally invested. You could do it too. So, being able to raise a chunk of money very quickly is very attractive to everyone. And these are really good deals. Then he's got a $5,000 masterclass, a $500 product, and the book. Now, we've already talked about creating an NFT or a crypto for that, which is communal. And again, it's participatory. So at the end of the day, what's most important here? First, you've got to have a great idea and a great book. And you guys can handle that. That's what you guys do and do well. And you can sift and sort and say, this is a bad idea or a bad book, or this is a good one, or here's how we can make your idea better. But in my opinion, you've got to start. Like, I would never write a book without creating a great offer first. All roads need to lead to, what's the offer? How are you going to make money? And then really, really, really understanding who's the audience, who's the customer, who's the buyer, or as in Dan Sullivan language, who do you want to be a hero to? So a book is about hero worship. So you've got to have all those components, and that's with or without Web3, with or without crypto, with or without NFTs. And I think the easiest way to start, if there was a tier 1, it would be like, create a great offer and accept cryptocurrency. Okay. Bitcoin, Ethereum. And, that way you could be accepting an asset that's going to increase in value. Next, build a community. Okay. Now, I wouldn't invest a bunch of time creating NFTs and some sort of token or something unless you have a proven history of creating a community. Because like people used to come to me and they go, yeah, I want to help 1 million people. I'm like, you haven't helped one. First of all, you need proof, evidence. Then you got to do it for 10, then 100. Show me 100 people in a community, and then I'll be impressed. And then you have permission to think about and even talk about 1 million. Okay. You haven't done it yet. And building community is hard. So maybe one of the ways, again, it's low impact, not a lot of work, is you'd open up a Slack channel, a Discord server, or a Telegram, some sort of a secure network as part of this. But remember that if you only have 10 people in it, if they're the right 10, fabulous. But it's kind of weird and lonely. So you got to find a way to create some momentum. And that is an art inside itself. But can you do it with scarcity? Can you do it like with association with a celebrity? Yes. Like those are possible. That is a bunch of work by itself. So, and then beyond that, like I said, if you had a token at some point, but I think you have to do this in order. So at a minimum, accept currency. Second level, if it's like a ticket, the equivalent of you get the NFT when you buy this with this token, now you can be part of a community. That's low impact. Third tier is reward behavior. You can tokenize it, and then you could monetize the token, create an exchange. That's the order to do it in, at least based upon what I would say right thinking is right now that won't get you in trouble if and when the rules change. I think they will. And then, from there, anyone who says they can predict the future is a jackass and a fool not to be followed. They're lying. Okay. No one can see into the future. And otherwise, everyone would be rich from picking the best startups back during the original .com movement. All right. Amazon came out ahead. And who else? Okay.
Yeah.
Google,
Facebook.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually Apple, even though Apple was slow, web browsing was slow, like they played conservative because they invested in the smart stuff. So I think getting behind some smart people, by all means, get a great mentor. I think you guys are in the mix right now. Melanie, you're asking great questions. You're in there thinking about this, not pretending to know it all, but at least you got the right connections, the right relationships, and you can direct someone to a conversation that can lead to, how do we think about this? And I think putting the toe in the water is the first thing. Accept the thing. If it were me, what I'd tell anyone, and I do tell everyone this right now, is so like buy some Bitcoin, buy some Ethereum, and then create an account on like Celsius, which pays you interest on your asset. And it's like a bank account that you're making 4 or 5% on, or if you buy a stable coin, which like Tether, which is not an appreciating asset, it's tethered to the US dollar. And by the way, definitely could be a Ponzi scheme. I'm not sure I trust the exchanges, but for now, enough people believe in them that there's a level of stability, but they pay you 10% interest on that. So
I always wondered about that. I always thought that was a little sketchy. Like I was afraid to put my toe in the water for the interest thing. I thought, I don't know about that.
I've done it. I do it. And I've been making interest, and, thousands of dollars are in there accumulating and compounding. And again, even though I'm skeptical, because people are people, and at the end of the day, if greed is greed, but I have enough trust and enough confidence to put a percentage of my net worth inside these things. And, if you go up the value chain, so at a minimum, buy some of it, you have an appreciating asset for the most part. Second tier, you can convert it and then earn interest on it. And then you can actually check this out inside of Celsius. Let's say you put, for the illustrative purposes only, you put $100,000 into Celsius. And it was in the form of Tether, okay, which is a stable coin. It's basically the equivalent of moving dollars inside the internet, and it can be converted or exchanged into anything else. So you have that, and they pay you 10% on it. Now, you can also have your Ethereum and your Bitcoin, and you can borrow against that up to 25% at 0% interest for as long as 36 months. Okay. Now, that is margin. That means that if the value of the currency or token you're borrowing against drops by 70% or so, they're going to do a margin call, sell all your assets to pay that loan off. All right. That's the risk you take. Now, dropping 75%, not a big possibility. And what is Celsius after all? They're basically a bank. And they are operating by banking rules, which essentially is they're borrowing and loaning your money out at a small percent of interest very rapidly. They're doing, nano transactions or micro transactions, meaning super fast, but they're making money on your money. Again, whether it's a big fat Ponzi scheme or not, I don't really know. But for now, I'm getting money. And if I lost everything, it would hurt much more than my pride, my feelings, and my ego. But beyond that, you can get into bot trading, which I've been dabbling in. I've got bots, making money now. And then on another tier, there's higher interest or higher risk speculation. So, essentially getting into the equivalent of day trading. So I've been dabbling in all these. I think it's worth doing depending on your character. And again, what this provides is a gateway. And if you're using a tool to do it and you can create community and be knowledgeable, I don't see a downside to that. And look, you're going to walk into this, like, I feel like a total ignoramus compared to my really, really smart friends who are a good friend of mine, started with about 200 grand less than a year ago, made over $1.4 million. And he's doing a lot of trades without losing much money. He's clearly doing well. And in one of my next events, he's going to be there teaching us all how to do what he does. So my way of creating value is putting together people who are 10 times smarter than me, doing it right now, making money, creating community.
We're going to be at that event.
You're going to be there. Yep. I wasn't sure if you wanted to mention that or not, but yeah, and we'll be doing that. We're going to do crypto trading, bot trading, high interest, and then I'll say speculative. We're basically going to be creating and doing NFTs. So, and I'm actually talking to my,
Oh, go ahead. I've been kind of nervous about the bot trading. I've seen some of these bots, but then it's like you have to give them access to things. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to give anybody access to that.
Well, here's what's happening. Just to give you a little bit of a second here.
Yeah, there are a lot of bots out there.
My NFT person is literally waiting for me right now. So the bot trading, here's how it works to give you a little bit of is you're effectively creating an API connection with Coinbase or Binance or any one of these exchanges. That's where all your money is. Mm-hmm. And then the bots access the API, but they never touch your money. All they're doing is they're controlling the transactions in and out. They don't have direct wallet access. It's not like you're depositing your money inside of a bot thing and then it goes wild.
Yeah.
You can control this at any time. The biggest risk you have is if you created a dumb bot and set it up so it could risk all of your money and it lost it all at once. But you'd be a complete moron to do it, because when you do the bot trading, you could say, assign $3,000 to this thing. And you're setting stop sells and basically some rules to follow that it can't break. And then you have a button on there that will test the bot and try it out doing historical trading. So it'll go backwards in time and show you how much money you'd make. And then you can also paper trade it, meaning you can actually set it up so it fake trades until you turn it on. So people who lose money doing this kind of thing are usually idiots who don't follow instructions, don't pay attention, don't look at their stuff, and, a fool on their money, right? It's sort of like, so like anything, you've got to educate yourself, invest the time, or you're going to pay someone a premium to do it for you. And over time, you'll see more and more there are hedge funds doing crypto, and, they're going to charge you 20% of the winnings and a certain percent to manage your money.
All right, I've got one last question, or kind of I think it's one last question is, okay, there's going to be a lot of publishers in this group too. We have publishers that are contributing and publishers are going to be watching. How do you turn an independent book publishing company into a 7-figure business without taking royalties from an author?
Okay. That's a great question. So here's what I would do, knowing what I know right now. First of all, narrow and deep is better than wide and shallow. So it all comes down to picking the best customers, the winners. Mm-hmm. Now, most people don't do the hard work, are looking for the easy way out, don't follow a system or a process, and quit quickly. Okay. Mm-hmm. And many are not coachable. So I look for, I call it good clay. And I start, first of all, is the person, do they have charisma? And, at the end of the day, this is all about betting on good talent. Okay. And you've got to find the next Billie Eilish in whatever you're at. And I'd pick an industry with money. So like, for example, personal development, personal growth, there's more volume there that's wide and shallow, but it's also a bunch of people who probably like, I'm going to sound like a jerk here, but I'm just going to do it anyway. I almost died, and then I found healing green juice and coffee enemas, and I started doing it. And now I'm an expert on that thing, and I'm going to save some lives. It's like, ugh, heard it a billion times. You're not special. That's crap. How are you going to make money? I'm a health coach. I'm going to create my own supplement. It's a horrible idea. You ain't got what it takes. I'll just tell you that right now. And, that's just that. Yeah. But if you found someone, for example, like this guy, a Justin Donald, who had the stuff, is unbelievably coachable and said yes to everything. And then I literally, we invented a $250,000 coaching offer. And then I knew a guy who had just sold his business, lost a bunch of money because he trusted a financial advisor, lost almost 10% of his portfolio. He called me up one day. I said, I'm going to introduce you to someone who's going to help you make a bunch of money. He goes, okay. So I hooked him up. I gave him the pitch and he said yes. He paid Justin $250,000 and this guy's made a fortune since, right? So my answer to your question is bet on the talent, get 4 or 5 and say, you're going to pay us a royalty, a percentage of sales that we help your platform create for you. Now you got to put some skin in the game first. So they'd have to put in, let's call $50,000, which is going to take care of the work and treat it as an advance on future royalties, then be around to help them build the business. So that's the way I would build it, is by still have your core business. You don't want to cut off your nose if you're making money, but if you really want to go, you'd say we have a partner program. And here's what we do with the partner program. We're going to grow your business. We're going to grow your revenues, and we're going to participate in that. So get a percentage of baseline revenue, which means on gross, not on net, because you can't get into a Batman movie situation. Number 2, take some form of equity. I prefer phantom stock. And the reason for that is because you don't have tax consequences. It's an agreement and it's speculative anyway. You're just betting on them, on building something that can be sold someday. So again, you got to pick someone who's on the same page. They're great clay. They're a great spokesperson, great talent. They already have proven that they've made money in the past. You like them, you trust them, and here's the gut. I have a new way of, and then there's an upside, meaning you're on the same page about selling the business someday. And the best way of summing this up is, this is how you know if it's the right person. I call it the aggravation filter. So you do this. Let's say, think of someone in your head who could be a right fit partner right now, Melanie. Okay. Do you have anyone who could maybe be that person?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do something that Gay Hendricks talks about, the, so you close your eyes, take a big deep breath and go, Okay. And while you do that, while both hemispheres of your brain are resonating and vibrating together, you ask yourself this question: does doing business with this person give me 5% or more aggravation feelings in my heart and in my gut?
Okay.
Here's how to do a hard test. Would I have to sign more than a 2-page agreement with this person? In other words, would I have to protect myself with a bunch of legalese? If the answer is probably, they're a no. This has got to be a hard yes or a hard no, period, end of story. That's how you make the decision.
That's a great test.
Oh, it's like, if I would have known that 30 years ago, I'd be worth well over $100 million right now.
Well, and that's the thing, even no matter what your customer is, before you sign, you don't have to take every customer walks through the door. If you get that feeling, then maybe you should just say no, even to your core business, that they're going to take more time, energy, and aggravation from you. So I hear you. What you're saying is really stick with your core business, but you need to add another silo that you can create revenue with that has a bigger upside than what maybe your core business does.
Yeah. And I think that all comes down to, are you willing to play the long game? So as an example, this is something that happened. I don't know if you saw Bruce Springsteen, who's 70, I don't know how 70 something right now. He's either 72 or 79. He's older. Just sold his music library for $500 million. Sting just sold his for $250 million. Bob Dylan, $400 million. Okay. Bob's in his 80s. Joni Mitchell, I don't remember exactly what she got. It was probably in the neighborhood of $100 million. Okay. Now, Prince, his family, who he didn't really have any connection with, is fighting over the money and the scraps. And part of the library is being sold. Part of it never will, by a bunch of greedy, whichever, like, but what's the point of the story here? If you invested and played the long game with a rock star early, that's the way to think about this. But if you can have incremental revenue in the meantime, that's fantastic. But it's just got to be worth, is the juice worth the squeeze? Full disclosure, my business model right now is it's $75,000 up front. It's a big investment. Now, why is it so high? Part of it's I'm worth it, but the other part is because it is extremely painful for the customer, the buyer, to not do what we agree to do. Okay. Mm-hmm. There's a high pain of not taking action. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I don't make that my problem up front. I'm going to deliver exactly what I say I'm going to deliver. And you got to deliver what you deliver. Now, when you take action and you implement, and I feel good about you, then we'll talk about tier 2, which is I do skin in the game, meaning I'll take reduced fees in exchange for revenue and equity, but I got to make sure I'm working with someone first. And if you can't stroke a check up front and do the work, it's a hard no. It'll be like, well, I want to de-risk this. And I go, I'm doing all the work up front. I'm not going to give that away. And the number one lesson I'm going to teach you is no one will ever do that to you ever when you work with me. No one will ever negotiate. There is no deal. There is no discount. I don't care if you're the second coming. All right. No. Next.
And it's nice to be in that position when you learn your value and go through that whole process. I think every business owner has to do that. Jen and I have done that, where we realized in comparison to other people offering these services that we were head and shoulders above that. And we're like, dang, we do a much better job. We were in our little bubble. We didn't realize what we brought to the table and the benefits of everything that we have. So it's knowing your own worth on top of it all, I think really is important.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you've been a tremendous guest. You have given us so much. You've offered so much. I just can't thank you enough. Makes me want to cry.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, you know what? We're going to be together very, very soon. We're going to be drinking a little wine, eating some food in Mexico, doing some crypto together. And you're going to meet some extraordinary souls. Some really, really, I have the good fortune. This is the difference between then and now. Like when I had a wide and shallow business with a lot of people, like I've always loved my clients and my customers, really have, but I didn't get to know them and go deep. And like this is my alien tribe. I always say the first thing I say when you come in, I go, welcome to your alien family. You get to choose, not the one you're born into. And everyone here, we're all aliens. We've all got these crazy stories of not fitting in, not belonging because we did things our own way. It's like a song I remember. We did it our way. And
we had a great pre-green room, and then we kind of got off a little bit. And I don't know if I remembered asking you this, but I know you have stuff in your arsenal that we want to put something in our VIP area that's a bonus from you. That's a tremendous value that you can leave for people that will live there, for people who sign up for VIP. So dig in your hat and see what you would like to pull up. Do
you want me to tell you what it is right now?
Yes.
Okay. Because I have something that is like, it's the framework of everything that I do. And we call them the 6 growth accelerators. And it's a training that I just literally did yesterday. And I will give you that content, that video. And it is the pathway to go from 2x to 8x your sales. It is a really simple formula, followed by something I call the 6 M's. And then I discuss, so part of what we do is I've developed 26 multipliers is what I call them. They're the tactics to make money. And I reveal a couple of them inside this training, and they're really, really, really powerful.
I can't thank you enough for your generosity, for your time, for your insight, for just opening up your wisdom to us has been phenomenal. You've been a mentor to Jen and I in our company. That's what started our company because of you.
You guys are the right stuff. That's for sure. So it's my pleasure. First of all, you're welcome. And the answer is always yes, Melanie. So when you ask, okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Make sure you watch this more than once. Thank you, Mike.
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.